Hello, everybody. This was gonna be officially. We're gonna be I explained in this video right here that I did. There's gonna be the day after this one. That I officially tried to do. Where is it? Where is it? This one right here, but then I realized that my mic wasn't working partway to this. For some reason, it disconnected, and for some reason, I think it was either because the jack that was in the there from the splitter wasn't fully in or something. Like I doubt it was because I when I unplugged the USB hub, it was like audio was like I got it. Why from the speakers? I know in this video. I kind of figured it out. And when I plug it in, it's fine. And then when I saw the bar when I was doing the video, but then when I was doing the other one, I noticed it was gone. And so checked the other video, and part halfway, no audio of me talking. So I kind of want to do that one again, but at the same time, I want to kind of mix it up, do something different. And I did explain in this one that it will probably be something different, if not the same, because I, I don't know. I'll probably do that next week. It's already late. It's almost 11 p.m. And yeah, I just want to get at least these two videos up. I have one that was meant to come up this week or last week, and yeah. So, uh, hopefully I'll try to get all three, like all 5 days uploaded. But at the moment, I'm gonna go shoot for three. Yeah.
As the video game industry continues to expand, there are more and more great games coming out all the time. And with what I'm already sure is a massive pile of classics that you haven't quite made it to yet, you can't be expected to play everything. While understandable, that does mean you'll have inevitably missed out on some excellent video game levels that have been created over the decades. So we're here to deep dive into 10 of these that really deserve your attention. Whether you've never played these at all or simply forgotten them, let's take a stroll down video game memory lane with some slam dunk levels and stages in
Brother
video
of Tale
games.
2000,
Obviously somebody remembers these
whatever
levels,
it's
otherwise we
called.
wouldn't know they were awesome, but consider the following entries a PSA to those who haven't had the pleasure or forgot they had. Now, just so you guys know, we're playing it a little fast and loose with the definition of level here, so we can include as many genres as possible and nothing gets left out. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are 10 awesome video game levels nobody remembers. Number 10, The Farm. Inside. Now, if you've played Inside, I'm guessing you remember one part really well, and that's its batch crazy ending. Now, of course, everyone remembers that, but what people might not remember is an earlier stage that really deserves to be called out. Of course, the ending isn't the only worthwhile part of this fantastic game. I'd argue that comes much earlier when you're navigating the farm. This is the first time you'll come across the game's incredibly creepy mind control devices, which become a fixture of both the puzzling and narrative as you progress. You'll need to work out that you need to jump on top of an aggressive pig in order to get high enough to reach the device. But once you do, it's absolutely a WTF moment. The creepy animations of both the boy hanging in the air and the zombified bodies replicating his movements in the background are unsettling, to say the least. The implications of how this is possible and what's going on are even more so. Given the game relies entirely on your interpretation of events to discern the story, this particular level revealed things were way messed up than we initially expected. And this is a Playdead game. Our expectations were pretty high. Number 9, The Battlefield. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yes,
Up there in the top
Brother of a Tale
5
of
games
Two
I
Sons.
absolutely
That
will
was a
not
good
ever
game.
stop talking about. Brothers:
And
A
I
Tale of
haven't
Two Sons
officially
is a
played it, but I
gorgeous
have
puzzle
seen
adventure game
Abby
from the
and
creator of
Jackson
It
the guy
Takes
play
Two.
it.
The narrative calls for two young brothers to take on a perilous
Who's I
journey to
like
get
better?
water from the Tree of Life, which will cure their ailing father. The adventure has many twists and turns,
They're
but
both
one
good.
especially cool level takes place over a battlefield. Here you'll see a great conflict with many lives lost has taken place, but it's not just any battle. All the bodies are those of giants. Given this is a game with no spoken dialogue, everything you learn about the world and its characters is through exploration and what you can glean from the journey. Navigating the brothers in and around the giant's dead limbs and body parts is pretty confronting. It's a relatively small part of the game, but the implications for what's going on in the world outside of the journey and priorities of your protagonist is very cool. And it's a great example of environmental
It looks like you've been dead
Number
so
8,
long, yet
Vermeer
the blood is
Assault,
so
Mass Effect.
fresh.
Jessica, I hear you say, why on earth have you put Mass Effect on this list? Everybody knows Mass Effect, it's one of the biggest trilogies in gaming. And to that I say,
honestly,
yes,
I
but
don't know
being one
Mass
of the
Effect,
biggest
but I
trilogies
know
in
of it.
gaming, there are already so many standout times that we remember.
And the reason why the reason why I say that is because I know Mass Effect, like the game in general and all that stuff, heard of it and all that. Except I've never played it or seen really a playthrough on it. So huh? What? I'm gonna be up close to the microphone because I'm gonna try to talk out loud because my mom's sleeping and all that stuff. I think that would be loud. I don't know. So yeah. Ooh, shit, did that. Ooh, shit, look at cool stuff in her room. Okay.
From playing these games, and that means some get overshadowed, one of which is Vermeer. We'll remember the suicide mission from Mass Effect 2, the final assault at the trilogy's conclusion, and Morden's brave sacrifice to cure the Krogan genetic disease, the genophage. But the Vermeer assault from the game's first outing is particularly special. Cast your mind back to 2007 or 2021 if you grab the Legendary Edition, and our hero had found themselves allying with the Solarians to weed out primary antagonist Saren on Vermeer. You quickly discover Saren has managed to cure the genophage, intending to raise a Krogan army. And your friendship with your Krogan squadmate Rex going forward will depend on whether you choose to destroy the cure or not. As if that wasn't intense enough, Vermeer also features your confrontation with Sovereign, a Reaper who intends to harvest all organic life. Your tense conversation with Saren, finally encountering Sovereign and facing the sinking reality of how big of a threat the Reapers truly are, and realizing you need to sacrifice either Caden or Ashley and there's no way to save them both, makes this a stunning moment in the landmark sci-fi trilogy. Number 7. Phendrana Drifts, Metroid Prime. There's a lot to love about the Metroid franchise, and Metroid Prime was a, well, prime example of the series at its very best, even though it was a serious departure as it stepped out to take on the third dimension on GameCube. Since Metroid as a franchise is so enormous with so many great levels, it's inevitable that some are going to get lost in the noise, so we've dedicated this entry to Phendrana Drifts. Accompanied by some of the best music in the franchise, and honestly probably gaming history, this level has it all. The vibes and snowy environment are immaculate, you get space jump boots, the threat of Ridley looming and the encounters throughout the level all make this one an absolute blast. It's enormously refreshing to explore the relatively peaceful landscape after the intensity of Magmor Cavern, not to mention just the change of pace in being outside. If you haven't had the pleasure or you're getting a nostalgia rush right now remembering it, do yourself a favor and at least go listen to the soundtrack. Number 6. The Prison Level, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. There are lots of reasons that a video game level could be awesome and nobody remembers it. Maybe it's because the game is inundated with awesome levels. Maybe it's because it's a fairly old game and not a lot of people have played it. Or maybe it's because even the people who did play the game eliminated said level from their memory out of trauma, or had to stop playing at said level because it was too scary. Just so there's absolutely no confusion, you can file me away in that second category. The prison level in Amnesia: The Dark Descent somehow takes the gameplay experience that is already almost unbearably terrifying and makes it even more horrifying. The survival horror game already gives you nothing to defend yourself with, and the lantern in your hand is really only a beacon to let the grotesque looking gatherers know where you're at so they can come do a murder on you. The prison level is absolutely riddled with them. It's pitch black and incredibly hard to navigate around. If you've been lucky enough to not play this one or forget all about it, just go on living your life and enjoy. If you're a scary games junkie though and you haven't played this one, you're gonna go need to fix that right away. Number 5. Constantine's Mansion, Thief Gold. It's pretty common knowledge that the Thief games have some of the best levels in all of video games, so everyone will have their favorites. But due to their age, a lot of them have been lost to time, since we are talking about a level made decades ago now. Constantine's Mansion is a level you'll encounter in Thief Gold, the 1999 expanded edition of the original game. In short, like many of the incredible stages from the original, this one is just a masterclass in game and level design. Things quickly get twisted and creepy until you realize the world itself is warped. The music and sound design is genuinely chilling and amps up your unease in discovering the mansion is essentially a supernatural maze, and your initial quest to nick a sword out from under everyone's nose is more complicated than you'd bargained for. This level especially works so well because you're not primed for everything to get quite this twisted, so it's all the more impactful. Number 4. Convergence. Dreamfall: The Longest Journey. Dreamfall: The Longest Journey is the second in a trilogy of adventure games released between the late 90s and 2014. It tells a massive story about a science fiction world and a fantasy world existing in parallel to one another, and the balance that needs to be maintained between them. While the first game centered on just one protagonist, 18-year-old April Ryan, its sequel Dreamfall has 3 protagonists: a now older April, Zoe Castillo from the sci-fi Earth, and Kian Alvane from Arcadia, the fantasy Earth. You spend each level of the game taking control of these characters in turn as they go about their own journeys and objectives with their own goals and motivations. It all comes to a head though in one of the game's best chapters, Convergence. Here you'll get to see your protagonist's lives and worldviews collide in ways that are super satisfying given how much of the game you've played through as each of them separately. This is especially interesting when Kian and April run into each other as they're unknowingly on opposite sides of the same conflict, and you'll get to choose how you want to communicate as each of them as the dialogue progresses. Essentially, this is one of the best narrative moments in what I personally think is one of the best stories video games have ever told, so on the list it goes. Number 3. The Darkness Trial. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. To say there's a lot going on in Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice would be the world's biggest understatement. You have voices in your head, puzzles to solve, brutal enemies to take on, and a journey that will take you straight to hell and back. As a result, a lot of the better sections will get lost in the end-to-end oppressiveness that is this gameplay experience, which is a shame because there are some absolute doozies in there. One of the best levels is the Darkness Trial, where Senua needs to navigate through pitch black and try not to turn into Monster Chum. It's particularly effective because while the game has many terrifying enemies, usually you can pull off some epic dodges and sink a blade into them, but not in this case. This level is one of the few in the game that's genuinely frightening for both you and Senua, and in a game that's all about getting in her head, it does a great job of cementing that connection. Hellblade isn't a horror game, but it sure does feel like one for the duration of this level. Number 2. The City in the Sky. The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. It's fair to say that Twilight Princess doesn't get as much attention as other games in the Zelda franchise, but it really should, because not only is the game pretty excellent end to end, it has some wonderful levels. One of these is the air level, and the dungeon you'll find in the sky. It's a surprisingly unique layout for a Zelda dungeon, which is a cool thing to be able to say this far into such a great franchise. It requires some critical thinking, clever maneuvering, puzzling, and care when it comes to the specific considerations of each combat encounter. The dungeon itself looks really unique, both inside and outside. The music is eerie, and there are loads of opportunities to prove you're the tunic-wearing hero I know you are. Most impressive of all, though, is absolutely the final boss of the area, Argarok. This dude is a whole-ass dragon, and you'll need to get clever with your hookshot and comfortable using the environmental advantages at your disposal within the arena in order to take it down. This fight is epic. I mean, who doesn't want to play as Link hookshotting your way onto a dragon and then stabbing it on the back until it falls to the ground? Nobody, that's who. It's awesome. Number 1. The Glitz Pit. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Released for the GameCube in 2004, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door belongs in the Psychonauts Hall of Fame for especially impressive level design. The Glitzville Fighters Pit level in particular may be a touch lost to time now, especially for new gamers, but hey, that's what this list is for. You'll initially seek to take the Crystal Star off the current arena champion, Rawkork, but it's a little more complicated than that. Eventually, you'll discover there's a great mystery going on around the arena, and meeting and interacting with its characters is delightful. It seems like you're just doing a basic set of arena matches, but slowly the real story and gameplay of the level unveils itself. You'll get a series of cryptic emails to decipher from someone known only as X, and I won't spoil it for you here just in case, but it's a load of fun to get to the bottom of everything that's going on here. Admittedly, this one is pretty long for a single level, but it's well loved by those who remember it and not remembered enough, so there you have it. That's the end of our list, but do let me know down in that comment section what your picks.
These two, however, were on the end of the last one. I did. This one, I did say some stuff, but I might react to that one and then say it. That way, yeah. There might be spoilers. stream or not. So that's all depending on the people watching it. Do a spoiler warning if I do it. Yeah. I'll let you guys all go and see you guys on the next one.